And we are live. Hello, carnivores, and welcome to session number 25. Are you stressed out? If so, this is the topic for you. Coach Mark is going to teach us about hormones that affect our stress levels. Our podcast review of the week before we kick things off is from Zbigniew Warzanek. I hope I pronounced that right, brother. He is from Spain, would like to say very insightful. Such coaches with real care about clients are priceless. Respect. Thanks, gents. Cheers to that, Zbigniew, and you are a gentleman. Many, many thanks. That was on session number 20, why we don't deadlift and how we train back and biceps. Coach Mark, what are the main hormones that contribute to stress, my man?
The main one, there's a few of them actually, but I'd say the main one when it comes to stress is cortisol. Cortisol is a huge one at the moment. I don't think people realize how it affects the human body, and it can actually affect weight gain also. There's a lot of people that will come to me and their imbalances are out of tune, their hormones are out of whack. And it's usually down to just lifestyle. It's down to lifestyle, poor sleep, maybe exhaustion in the gym. There's many factors when it comes to cortisol. And it's very important to make sure you understand that you could be doing everything right, but if your stress hormone is low, then you're gonna have major struggles trying to lose the weight.
Totally. What are some of the big names that we need to keep in mind other than cortisol, like adrenaline, DHEA? Are there? I know that cortisol kind of seems to be touted as like the main stress hormone in general, and that's like the first one that everybody thinks of. But there's quite a few others, though, right?
There's a few of them, yeah. There's like you mentioned, there's the DHA. There's a good few of them, but cortisol is probably the main one. We need to look at like when it comes to stress, we need to make sure that we're looking at insulin resistance versus insulin sensitivity, and this can come down to pretty much what you're eating. So these are major factors that contribute into cortisol also.
Good stuff. Let's see. Danny from New Jersey would like to ask, do OMAD and 2 meals a day and fasting workouts help reduce stress hormones?
Yes, it can, because it can look after what we want to make sure is we're looking after our gut. So if we're eating throughout the day, that can play an impact on someone's lifestyle. So let's say if you have a really busy lifestyle in work and you're not able to eat like 6 times a day, then you may need to go for like 2 meals a day or even 1 meal a day. But the only issue I have there is if you're putting all your food into 1 meal or even at 2 meals, let's say if you're eating, say, 160 grams of protein a day and you're splitting that up into 2 servings, 80 grams each, some women maybe not be able to digest all that food. So I'm a big fan on spacing meals out throughout, so at least going for at least 3 or 4 meals throughout the whole day. OMAD can work if your lifestyle fits it, but if it doesn't, I would aim for about 2 or 3 meals a day personally, because we have to understand that the gut and the brain connection is real. So if your gut is out of balance, then obviously your brain is going to be out of balance. You're not going to feel good at all. Your energy is going to be low. Your stress management will start increasing. Your energy is going to take a dip. Okay. And then what's going to happen is you're just going to run out of energy. You're going to hit a brick wall very soon.
Good stuff. Holden from Washington would like to ask, what's the relation to hormones when people start to stress eat? I think he's asking if there's like a correlation there.
In what way? What do you mean?
If there's a correlation between certain hormones and stress eating. I guess cortisol would certainly have something to do with it, because I mean, I get tendencies to stress eat, and that's when my sugar cravings, not anymore. I haven't had sugar for quite some time, but
yeah,
that's when I would stress eat, though, is when I was stressed out. So I think he's wondering if there's any hormones in particular that are related to that.
Yeah, I mean, the cortisol is definitely the same one. Let's say if you've got a really busy day and you're getting your anxiety is through the roof, or your depression is through the roof, or your sweet cravings are going to go up. This is when those cravings will kick in. This is when you will eventually start overeating. And it's very important that you need to pretty much keep an eye on that. Because if your hormone balances are out of control or out of whack, this is where the cravings kick in, and it's down to like poor lifestyle. It's also down to like if you're stressing throughout the whole day and you're panicking about a few stuff, then this is where those sweet cravings will end up increasing, and this is where pretty much binging will also increase also.
Yeah. And it's not just cortisol that's induced by exercise, but it's everything else in your lifestyle that adds up together too. You're 5 weeks, because you're 5 weeks out from your show right now. So everything that you're doing needs to be keeping stress at an absolute minimum, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to stick to your meal plan for the rest of the prep. So is there other things that you're doing outside of are there other things that you're doing to help minimize stress buildup just overall?
Everything. I'm controlling my stress everywhere. I've got a really, really busy schedule, like work wise, family wise, gym wise.
Right.
Now I'm in the gym. I know that if I go in the gym and hit myself really, really hard at this stage and fry myself in the gym, that's gonna have a major, major impact on my body. It's gonna lead to an awful lot of stress. Then when it leads to stress, my body's going to actually regain water retention. So I'm going to regain a lot of water. So if anything, at this stage in my prep, I need to make sure I'm 100% stress free. And I need to make sure I control that. So the only way I can control that is just make sure that every day I wake up, I do the same stuff every single day, and I try and control it as much as I can, because at the end of the day, you have to control basically the things that you can't control. The things that you cannot control, you just got to push them to the side and say, right, I can't do anything about that, but I can do what I do on a daily basis. I can control my breathing. I can control what I put into my body, my food. I can control my sleep. I'm not going to be one that, okay, if I'm stressing, okay, I'm going to stay up late at night time. I'm going to get myself into a regular routine. I'm going to work on my circadian rhythm. I'm going to go to a little bit bed a little bit earlier. If I need to get an extra hour in bed, then I'm going to go to bed probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it's just about finding what you can control and stick to it. And the best thing to do is when you get yourself into a regular routine, don't change it. Like I have a routine now. I get up the same time. I get up the same time. I go to bed at the same time. I have my meals at the same time. I do my check-ins at the same time. So everything I know is clockwork. I'm not watching my watch. I know everything is done throughout the whole day. And that keeps my stress levels down. So I feel good. And if things are getting on top of me, I'll do something simple. If I feel like I'm having a really, really busy day, the last thing I'm going to want to do is go into the gym. I don't want to put any more stress on my body, so I'll just go for a walk. It's just going to be just as good, because we have to understand that when we go to the gym, you do put an awful lot of stress on your body, and it may actually hold you back. So you may think you're taking one step forward, but you could be taking 2 steps back if you're overstressed.
Exactly. If you have someone to where it's like, okay, I only have so much time in the day, and I have time to train, or I have time to sleep, and I'm low on sleep, just go to bed. Don't even go to the gym. Like, you will be taking 2 steps back at that point. If your body is begging for sleep, then you need to address that.
Exactly. And see if you stay up past your time, like let's say I'm going to bed pretty much every night at 9 p.m. If I go past that and it's right 10 o'clock, I'm going to be watching TV, and those cravings are going to be kicking in. I'm going to be sitting down there, and I'm going to be fidgeting, and I'm going to be like, okay, what can I have? What can I have? I'm getting those cravings. And then I'll go to bed and I'll start getting emotional. I'll be like, okay, no, I need something. I need to have something. And that's when I'll go towards the, like, snacks. And that's one thing we don't want to do, is we don't want to be getting into a situation where we're snacking throughout the whole day, because that's basically where it's going to hold you back.
Yeah, definitely. Lucky Krim would like to ask, sleep stress. In other words, I usually get about 6 hours of sleep. Can that cause stress-related hair loss?
Yeah, it can do, but it's all down to basically food first. So if the food is not on point first, then That's where you're going to see the major issues. Sleep can have an effect, but I would say it's all down to diet first. Sleep in general, we know is good for many things. It can increase our it can decrease our stress management. It can help us with our mindset. But when it comes to like health in general, and especially like hair loss, now I would make sure that the diet is right first of all. So we know that when it comes to a woman's hormones, a lot of women lack in fats. They always pretty much increase their proteins. So I would be making sure the diet's right first of all, and look at your fat intake also.
Very, very good advice. Thank you. Nathaniel would like to ask, is stress a big factor for women is stress a bigger factor for women than it is for men when it comes to hormones and weight loss, and what he advises people to do about negative external influences when it comes to adhering to a healthy lifestyle, nutritionally speaking? She means friends and family type of external influences.
Yeah. So when we look at the woman, yes, of course it is, because that's where they base. Women have more issues with hormones than men. I mean, we only have just testosterone pretty much to deal with on a daily basis. Women have so much more. They have like their estrogen imbalances, they have their menstrual cycle, they have their pregnancy, they have menopause, they have cortisol imbalances. They have low levels of progesterone. There's many factors why women will struggle with their hormones going forward. So yeah, that would be a major thing that we need to make sure we're looking after. Because when we look at a woman's midsection, a woman's midsection is going to be completely different to the men. And when a woman gets really stressed out, you can actually notice it very easily. Very easily. But if a man is very stressed out, they can pretty much lose it very quickly. So there's a major difference between the two.
Absolutely. Danielle is she's a pro. She's a natural carnivore professional women's bodybuilder. She would like to ask, what is the best way to improve cortisol? Breath work, sauna, red light therapy, cold shower. What are some best modalities for stress reduction? So I guess I'm curious, any sauna, cold shower, red light therapy, are you a fan of any of those, Mark, for helping reduce stress?
So all of them can work, but I'm just a big fan of sleep. I think you can't go wrong with sleep. I think if I could sell sleep in a bottle, I would be a billionaire. It really is. I mean, you can bring all these fancy things, saunas, red lights, all of this. But at the end of the day, if your sleep is out of whack and your diet is out of whack, it doesn't make a difference what sauna you go for. It doesn't make a difference what red light you have in front of you. It won't make an ounce of difference. Sleep is probably the number one thing that you should be focusing on, big time.
Good. Oh, Kendall would like to ask, I'd be interested to hear about insulin resistance, but overall about DHEA and cortisol. So like, what's the role with DHEA? I thought that was a good hormone, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, it is a good hormone. But when we look at insulin resistance, we know that a lot of people, when they go to, let's say, for example, they go to the gym, and we know that will help insulin sensitivity. But for some women, if they go into the gym and train to failure all the time, that can actually cause major issues. That can actually decrease insulin resistance. So that's when your blood sugars might actually spike. So if you're going into the gym and you're literally pushing yourself into the ground and you're forcing yourself to a point where you're putting like way too much stress in your body, that's just going to elevate insulin. So your insulin is going to be a huge blocking factor, and that's going to block then you getting results in the gym.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Colt Milton is a natural bodybuilder, carnivore bodybuilder based out of Joliet, Montana, United States. He would like to have a question. Yeah, seriously, I got a question for you, bro. On going for a run, running for an hour straight. I do that once a week. I know that on paper that increases cortisol, right? Anytime that you're that your heart rate is elevated for an extended period of time, it's just, you get to a point where it's just straight cortisol buildup from there, which is why we never recommend that for someone that's trying to lose weight, because that's just going to ramp up their appetite. And then before you know it, you're out training, you're a bad diet, and that's just a losing battle. However, whenever I come back from a run, especially after the runner's high and like a good deep prayer and just some time alone with my dog and just getting some sunlight, I mean, when I come back, I just feel like $1,000,000, and I feel like I need that once or twice a week to just kind of check out. So are there exceptions per person to where it might seem like you're doing too much, or you're not following exactly what scientifically makes the most sense, but at the end of the day, it's working for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you were a fan of running, at the end of the day, if it suits your lifestyle and you enjoy it, then go and do it. But I definitely wouldn't be a fan of doing it all the time. Unless that's the sport that you like doing, or that's the fitness day. Like if you want to train to be a runner, then obviously you'll train every single day. But if you're doing it every day, that will cause a major stress on the body also, because you have to understand you're pretty much running every day. The impact it's going to have on your knees, the impact it's going to have on your legs. It may be good when you actually get back, but there are easier ways to reduce that stress. See, people think that I need to do more. I need to do running. I need to do the gym. I just need to do more and more and more. And that couldn't be further than the truth, because that's just going to lead to so many factors going forward, really, really bad things going forward. It's going to hold you back. And to be honest with you, if you're not a runner, if you're not into running, I couldn't think of anything worse. I honestly couldn't think of anything worse. And the most important thing is
it's rough. It's just hard on your body. I mean, I think it's one of those basic exercises to where everybody should be able to do it. Like we as a species, as human beings, like primally speaking, should be able to just drop what we're doing and go for a run if we need to. But for a chronic, long, extended period of time, I don't believe that's healthy at all. No.
But how is it going to fix the root of your problem? So let's say you have it, like you've got a lot going on in your life. Like you've got a really, really stressful life. How is the running going to fix the root of the problem? Because when you get back, you might feel good for that 10, 15 minutes. But then the minute you get back, you're going to be like, okay, I've had my shower. I feel good. But then those dark demons are going to kick back in again. So the root of the problem is still there. So this is why I always say that before you do anything, before you do any exercise whatsoever, your food needs to come first. Because if your mindset is not on it, then if you're just going out and forcing yourself to do exercise, it's not going to work. Honestly, this is where people they do it for a short period of time and they end up quitting. And they're like, okay, well, I've done it. I've done all the running. I was doing the weight training. I was doing everything. I was reducing my food. And what's going on? Why am I still gaining weight? And it's just because that kind of lifestyle that you're doing, it just doesn't suit you at all. We're all different. And it's very, very important that when we look at training, it needs to be specific to your lifestyle. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you're into running and it's your thing, amazing. But what I would also recommend is when you're doing running, the one thing we need to make sure we're keeping a hold of as we age, and it's very, very important for longevity, is muscle. And if you're running all the time, you're burning muscle. Yep. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, okay, well, do you want to go down that route? Okay, fair enough. But it's actually going to slow things down as you age. It's going to slow down your metabolism. It's definitely going to increase your appetite. Like, I mean, if you're running like every day, I can guarantee you're going to be eating a shitload of food. I don't care who you are, you're going to be eating a shitload of food. Whereas if you're retaining muscle, you can pretty much eat protein, eat fats, and pretty much still look in decent shape, and you can progress every year. Whereas if
those muscle bellies take up energy and they need food just because they're there.
Exactly. And that's what we should be always. Everybody should be doing the same thing. We should be always striving to say, right, okay, can I improve year on year on year? But if you're doing cardio all the time, you're not really improving. You may be improving your fitness, but your body's not changing at all. And the impact what we didn't speak about any injuries yet, but the impact you're putting on your body by running, I can guarantee you, eventually your knees are going to give out. You're not going to be able to run for the rest of your life, but you can actually build muscle for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I have seen people stop running at, like, say, now don't get me wrong, I see an awful lot of people running them when they're 50, 60, 70 years of age, but you see more people in the gym at that age than you do running. You know what I mean? And then when it comes to the winter times, when it's dark out, like the likes of the people that were running in the summer, you don't see them anymore. They're at home. So their bad habits are starting to creep back in again. They're sitting at home and saying, okay, I'll wait till next summer and I'll start running again. But like it's like, okay, well, why don't you just start building muscle? Why don't you not just start eating properly first? And let's see where we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for that, man. Yeah, this time last year I was doing way over an hour of cardio, and even I kept up the running for just until my body told me no. my let's see, plantar fasciitis and a stress fracture in basically both feet, just taking on way too much mileage too fast. And so I wish I would have had you in my corner earlier rather than later. You could have helped me, and you could have helped me avoid that. So the just one run a week, that seems to be like a sweet spot, because I'm one of those people, one of those wackos that actually really does enjoy going for a run. Mm-hmm. And so any more than that, I just feel like it's too much of my joints, too much of my hips, and I'm just burning up muscle at that point. So the muscle gains have definitely come on quicker ever since I stopped doing cardio, man, like way faster.
And I'm the same. Like, I used to be a runner like a long time ago, but now I just introduced walking into my life. Mm-hmm. And I just focus mainly on what I do throughout the whole day. So I'm still using up a lot of energy from moving around. I think people have this persona where they're like, okay, if I do an hour's cardio or an hour's spinning class or an hour's HIIT class, I'm going to magically lose weight a lot faster, or I'm going to reduce my body fat a lot faster. It just doesn't work that way. If you want to look lean and look really, really good, you need to build muscle, because that's what's actually going to speed up your metabolism. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be in a situation where you're able to eat more food, and building muscle is actually going to help you get there a lot faster.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for that, Mark. Daniel Schroyer from Houston, Texas would like to say, I've read that how we think about stress influences the physical impacts on the body. When training hard to failure, what are the mindset techniques we can use to stay positive and push through reps?
Just breathing. That's all it is. When you get to a set and you're like, okay, I cannot push this weight anymore, you'll be amazed if you just take a deep breath and just go again. I think a lot of people, when they get into the set, they focus too much on their heart, so they're moving the weight too quickly and they're not focused on the breathing. So take each rep and really focus on that breathing. And then once it gets to fail, I always say, once the muscle starts to burn, that's when you need to start counting. That's when the set starts. It's not like, okay, I felt the burn, okay, I need to stop doing what I'm doing. No. Keep focused. Focus on your breathing. Take a deep breath. Go for another one. Take a deep breath. Go for it. You'll be amazed. You'll probably get another 5 or 6 reps. I like, put it this way.
You'll shock yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I used to train clients in a gym, and I used to always use this phrase: if you get to a situation where you're pushing a weight and you can't push it anymore, you just cannot push it anymore. But I come over to you and I put a gun to your head and I say, right, if you don't push that weight out for 1 more rep, I'm going to shoot you. Do you think you're going to push that weight out?
You're damn right.
Your mindset is going to be like switched on. You're going to be like, okay, no matter what, I'm going for that next rep, no matter what. And that's just a matter of mind over matter. That's all it is. So it's very, very important that When you train, see, when you train a muscle of failure, for me, failure is when you cannot push the weight anymore. So that's basically failure. When we look at going beyond failure is when you push through it. That's when we use like rest pause techniques, or you might actually ask someone to push the weight out for you, then you control the negatives. There's many ways of going beyond failure. But it's very, very important. I think the most important thing is, as I said, when you get to that point where your body is stressed and you can't go anymore, but you feel like you've got 1 or 2 more reps in you, take a deep breath, really dial into those deep breaths, and you probably get 1 or 2 reps.
Very, very good. Thanks for that. I had a client ask about what to do when he's losing reps on prep. So he's on contest prep right now, and he's just getting to the point to where he's starting to lose a rep on mostly shoulder exercises. So my advice to him was, when he hits that point, was to drop the weight and then basically just fill the muscles with blood, and to get the best pump that you can, go higher reps after that, or do a 21 rep method too, especially if it's like halfway through, like say you do 2 sets, don't perform like you're wanting to. And then on that 3rd set, I would say change it to a 1/4 rep method, or a 21 rep method, or something that is a lot higher reps and a lot higher blood flow, keeping very, very slow, deep breaths throughout the entire time. Is that good advice? Is there anything that you would have said differently, maybe? You there, Mark? I think we got a lag.
I just can't hear you there. Can you hear me there?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, so I got the brief of it. So you're saying to me that someone is losing strength and he's in a prep at the moment. How long is he out? Is he doing a show, or what is he doing?
Yeah, he's about 5 weeks out, and so between here and there, like, the last thing that we want to do is lose any fullness. And so when he does lose it, when he does lose a rep, I know that we need to decrease volume. I know that's the first thing we need to do. So we had that conversation, and then I asked him to say he does 2 sets, doesn't perform like he really feels like he needs to. Then the 3rd and 4th set should be either a drop set, a 21 rep method, a 1/4 rep method, or something that or add a force negative onto it. But he needs to fight for that rep, and he needs to get it, and he needs to he needs to really focus on the pump, really focus on the burn, and then on the back end, we're reducing volume from that point out.
Okay, so I have a different perspective on this. I think the closer you are to a show, and this is where your training needs to change big time. Okay, because in this period now, we're not focusing on building muscle. We're just focusing on retaining muscle. So we want to be making sure we go into the gym and we just take sets to failure that you can do. I wouldn't be a big fan of going beyond failure, especially if he's 5 weeks out, because at the end of the day, his food is low. And if he's losing reps in the gym, that's okay. But as long as the strength is maintaining, that's a good sign. So he doesn't actually need to go in and beat his numbers. He just needs to go in and maintain his strength. Like I've been doing my prep now for the last couple of weeks, and I'm maintaining strength, but I am losing a rep or 2 on what I used to do. And that's okay. I know, because my food is low and my energy output is very, very high. So it's completely normal. But I'm not going to chase those numbers, because if I do chase those numbers in the gym, again, that's just going to lead to stress. That's going to lead to an awful lot of stress on my body. That's something that I don't want. So now what I'm doing, I'm kind of doing like, I wouldn't say I'm moving the weight a lot slower. Like I'm still moving the weight the way I used to move it. But if I feel like I haven't got that last rep in me, I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to put the weight down. Whereas in the past, I probably would have put the weight down. I probably would have done a rest pause. I probably would have rested for 10 seconds and then went back in and attacked it again. Whereas now I'm just doing straight sets. Like literally, I'll do a set of 8. If I can get that ninth rep, happy days. If I can't, I won't force it. So I won't go into the exercise. And let's say I'm doing a chest press and I'm on my 8th rep and I'm like, okay, I can only go halfway. But if I use my back, or if I arch my back and get the 9th rep, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to listen to my body, because as I said, I'm not trying to build muscle. I'm just trying to maintain it. So the most important thing is maintain your strength, but you probably will lose a rep or 2 or 3 along the way. So there's nothing to worry about.
Okay, good. And I think we have a little different ways of saying, for the most part, the same thing. I'm not expecting that he holds all of his records and that he's still able to overhead press the same amount that he was before. My knee jerk reaction is when I see an indicator of a lack of performance. That's a time that your body needs that's a time that your body needs something different, especially if we're on prep, because that's our only choice. We can't focus on progressive overload, because, to your point, we're not building muscle. We're in a deficit, and so we're just trying to hold on to the muscle that we have, knowing full well as natural bodybuilders we're certainly not going to build any muscle while we're 5 weeks out from a show. So the closer that he gets to the show, what I'm recommending is, when he does have those, is to treat him more as high reps, because he's going to get more bang for his buck. And I'm not talking about he's going to be burning more energy and like getting leaner or anything. I know that's why a lot of people do high reps. My point in using high reps is because that's going to be something that his body hasn't been used to as much as earlier in the prep. And so this is going to give his muscle bellies enough stimulus to want to stick around, because at the end of the day, your body doesn't want to look good on stage. Your body just wants to survive. And if it's getting lean and feels like it's in a state of stress, then it's going to go into panic mode. Out goes the muscle, and hello, fat storing.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, that's why I'm a big fan of just keeping things simple as you go into your prep. Like, when you're in the off season, you're there to build muscle, but as you get leaner, you shouldn't be changing anything in the gym at all. What built the muscle in the off season is what you should be trying to maintain as you get leaner. It's very, very important. That's in my opinion, because you want to keep those muscle bellies full. So if anything, you need to decrease your volume. So if you're going to the gym, let's say in the off season, you're doing 20 sets or whatever. Let's say if you're 5 weeks out, you shouldn't be doing any more than, say, 5 or 6, in my opinion. Yeah, as I said, you're not going into the gym to show off. You're not going to the gym to see how much you can actually lift. You're just going in to get a stimulus. You're getting a stimulus on the muscle. That's what you're trying to do. If you're putting your body under an awful lot of stress, trust me, that will kick in. Your body will start getting watery. You'll feel like crap. Those sugar cravings will kick in, I guarantee you. You'll be craving a lot more food. So it's very, very important that in those 5 weeks, the one thing you're really, really focusing on, and you're keeping as low as possible, is your stress levels and your cortisol. That's going to be the main thing. That's going to be the main thing going forward for these next 5 weeks. Don't be focusing on, like, I need to do more. No, do less. Do less, because it will show on stage. That's when you'll see the definition. You'll see it. You know what I mean? You won't see yourself watery. You won't see yourself tired. You won't see yourself drained. You'll see that. As I say, you'll see that definition that you built in the off season. It will come out perfectly on stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mark, thank you for all this. I respect your time so much, brother. On the subject of cortisol and sleep, I know that you are also 5 weeks out, and so sleep is important to you. I respect that, and we're going to let you go to bed, good sir. Appreciate everything that you've been sharing, man. You answered my questions. You answered a lot of the questions that people were kind enough to write in, and so. Oh, are you back there?
I'm back, Harry.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Oh, and one more thing. If you do end up ever figuring out a way to sell sleep in a bottle like you were describing earlier, then that doesn't have sugar in it, right?
No.
I'm sorry. Coach Colt talking. It looked like it was a Gatorade. I'm just giving you a hard time. But if you do figure out how to way to sell sleep in a bottle, man, I do not care what the shipping charges are, what the import fees, the tariffs, anything, man. I'll figure out a way to buy that stuff, and I'll be your number one reseller over here.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's so powerful. Like, it really is. It's so powerful. Like, sleep is just, Like when you think about it, like when you sleep and if you have a good night's sleep, you wake up the next day, you feel incredible, and you go into the gym and you kill it. But if you've got poor night's sleep and you wake up the next day, you can clearly see it. Like it's just your performance in the gym is going to be rubbish, and this is where people then rely on having pre-workout to get them through the workout. But you're putting actually more stress onto more stress by doing that. So what's the point in even going to the gym? You're better off just staying at home, get a nap, make sure you're ready the next day, and you're ready to rock and roll.
Good stuff. And we're going to sign off with Lucky Krim saying, thank you, Mark, for all your caring and good advice. Pray emoji, bicep emoji. Right back at you, Lucky. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks, Lucky.
See you next week.
See you later.